Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to season 4 of the Just Seen podcast. Um, I know it feels like it really wasn't much of a break, but it's a break for me. And now we're back. Today, I feel like because of the way in which I had to take a break and the way in which I'm returning, it made this episode so special. It made this episode that I'm about to do right now what it is. Because, if you follow me on social media, if you read my books, I always put the words peace, love. If you hearing here, my intro to this, my, outro, I always say peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, right? And it's like, I was asked one time and I just never, did it because I just, the time wasn't right. Like, what is the reason why I say peace, love, knowledge, and freedom? What does it mean? And, where does it go? So I'm like, what better way than to, express it one time on my podcast? Because, I don't really like repeating myself. But considering just, the transition between how season 3 was and then where I am with the space I am right now with season 4, it's this is, it embodies, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and I say that because I put that on everything. I put that on everything, but I put it on everything for a reason, because it's like, there are things that, a lot of people want in life. A lot of people, desire out of life and require. For me, those are my 4 pillars. Those are the 4 things that I hold highest in my life. Those are 4 things that I hold, to the utmost capacity for everything that I do. Everything that I do in some way, shape, or form, I tie those 4 things into it: peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. And I decided that, what better way to kick off season 4 than to explain what peace, love, knowledge, and freedom is. You know what I mean? Is it an affirmation? Is it a salutation? Is it a greeting? Is it a blessing? Is it a bidding? What is it? It's all of it, motherfucker. What? Nah, I'm gonna be serious. I'm gonna try to be serious as I can with this episode. But, yeah, those things, like, I don't know, they're just the quintessential pieces to me to lock down and, maintain my essence and my being, and to allow me to navigate the world the way that I need to. And so I put it on everything. I say it on everything, because not only am I affirming it for myself, but I'm extending it to the listener. I'm extending it to the reader. I am extending it to the person that I'm speaking to, and like I said, my transition in between my break from season 3 and then my initiation into season 4 was about realigning myself with peace, love, knowledge, and freedom again. Because at times, I can get in go mode and just turn into a robot, and things just become autopilot. And once I notice they become autopilot, I stop thinking. And then when I stop thinking, I start feeling. When I start feeling, I just, nothing really has any, flow to it. It's just me in the moment doing stuff. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with being in a moment. I love being in a moment, but it gets to a point where I'm just there, and I got to periodically take my, my steps away to realign my peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, So that's what I'm gonna dedicate this episode to. And I feel like I said, what a wonderful way for me to come back to season 4. So before I get started, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_seen_. Be sure to check out my website at IamJustSeen.com. If you are looking to learn how to trade and invest, you can do so with Mastering the Market. If you are looking to transition into the plant-based lifestyle, you can do that with the Hitting It Raw program. If you are looking just for some, new designs to put on, some merch, you can do that at Just Seen's Merch. And, if you're looking to chat or, book a session, event, or anything like that, you could do so with Chatting with Seen. And, of course, If you would like to check out my series on masculinity, you can look at the So Frail series. It is sarcastically titled, but it is about masculinity nonetheless. To all who donate, tip, and sponsor, I appreciate you so much. You are greatly appreciated. To all those who would like to donate, tip, or sponsor, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of your podcast. Cash App and PayPal is fine. I think that's pretty much everything. So with that being said, I'm going to take a quick break and we're going to dive back into the Just Sing podcast, Peace, Love, Knowledge, and Freedom. Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit IamJustSing.com. There you can get all things Just Sing. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit IamJustSing.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSing.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSing.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSing.com. You ever want to just chat with Sing about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSing.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSing.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit IamJustSing.com. All right, welcome back. So without further ado, we're gonna hop straight into it. Okay, so peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, right? That for me it is a salutation. It's a blessing. It's a greeting. It's an affirmation, of course. Above all of that, it's my affirmation. It's the affirmation of the 4 pillars that I build my life, that I build everything about myself. I build it off of peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. Because for me, I've learned that that's all I require in this life to be fully functional and fully operational as a being. For me, I'm not saying that, everybody should follow this philosophy, because you have to understand how this philosophy came to be to understand why I made it a philosophy. Like too many times, and I think too, a lot of it comes from me wanting to express this was because recently I've seen a lot of people, come into my space and they be saying it back to me. Yeah, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. Sometimes they'll leave one of them off. They'll be like, peace, love, and freedom, or peace, knowledge. I'm like, and it's high-key disrespectful when you think you can just adjust somebody's shit, or you forget, if you're not going to say it all together, don't say it all to me, because that is, like I said, that is something that I build myself on. I have built myself on peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. You feel what I'm saying? It's not about just saying the affirmation, because I developed this affirmation and this philosophy about, like 6 or 7 years ago, I think. Quote unquote, it was when I became woke. It was in a moment where everybody was peace and blessings, peace and light, love and light. They were, interchangeably using these things. And I fucked with those, especially the peace part. The light, not so much, because I'm not always light, bro. But my light never goes dim. And but I didn't want to become so cliche with the shit. So everything I do has a purpose. Everything I do has a reason. Everything I do has a methodology behind it. I don't just do shit. So when I'm like, yo, peace and blessings, why is everybody just saying peace and blessings? Like, oh, because that's what I'm bidding to you. I wish peace and blessings for people and all of that shit. But I'm like, all right, so what is peace to you? What are blessings to you? And you feel what I'm saying? Like, I realized that when a lot of people were quoting these mantras, a lot of people were saying these affirmations, these salutations and shit, they were not defining it for themselves. If you read So Frail, and if you know my views on masculinity, before anything, I define shit first before I apply anything to my life. You feel what I'm saying? Anything to my life, I make sure I define that shit well. And then I decide, okay, this is how it's defined for me. You feel what I'm saying? This is how it's defined for me. So this is how we go forward understanding it. You know, for example, like in so far, I was speaking with a young lady, and I was like, we were talking about masculinity, and I laid out the definition, you know, that I developed for masculinity. You know, prior to that, I had never heard a definition for masculinity, but I did that because it's like, when I'm talking about masculinity, I need you to be on the same page as me. Only way you can be on the same page as me is if you know exactly what I'm talking about. So when I say masculinity for me is the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of analysis and deconstruction. If you're not even in tune with that definition of it, you're going to be oblivious to what I'm talking about. You dig what I'm saying? So everything that I'm telling you is not going to make sense because you have not known, you're not aware that I am associating everything that I'm talking about to analysis and deconstruction and opposed from there. Now, if you understand that definition and you can apply that to masculinity, you'll see how everything that I'm saying makes sense. But when that happens, a lot of people say, I don't get how it's, I know that's, you don't, they be like, I don't get how the analysis of deconstruction, they try to use it all sarcastically with me. Like, well, when you talk about the analysis of deconstruction, they still try to understand the definition that I provided through the lens of how they understand masculinity. And the two don't go together. That's why I make sure I define it. But this now goes back into how I'm, you know, facing with my mantra and everything. So I'm looking at everybody talking about the peace and the blessings, peace and light, love and light. So I'm like, well, what is that? What are those things for you? Because it's like, yo, we say these things all the time, but do we just utter them, or are we defining what we're saying so we have an association to how our mind manifests this shit? You feel what I'm saying? So I remember I was just making a post one day. And then when I made the post, I was like, yo, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. And I realized that's my platform. That's what I build my life on. So that's what I'm going to exude. Everything that I do, like I said, it infuses these 4 principles into them: peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. Right? And for me, in my perspective, I don't want people to feel as if when I'm saying peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, that it's just something to play with. It's just something to say, no, this is a method of utterance that I have put to myself to keep me in check, to keep me aligned with myself, to keep me focused on life and everything. Like, you know, so when I say it and when I speak it, when I say it to you, you know, it's from my perspective, I'm sending the resonance and the energy to you for what I have defined peace, love, knowledge, and freedom as. You know, and quick story about peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, right? So I got this tat, I think like last year, 2 years ago or something like that. I don't know, me and my sister, we periodically go get tattoos together and shit. It's our thing, you know, but we'll go get tattoos together. And I was like, yo, I want this band on my arm that says peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, right? So, you know, everybody like, yo, that shit dope. Like, I'm like, no, it's dope, man. It's like shit, because I know what I have set peace, love, knowledge, and freedom up, right? So I had the lettering right. Everything was cool and shit. And so when the tattoo dude, he wrote it out. You feel me? I had just saw the words, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, right? So I'm like, yo, this shit about to be dope. This shit about to be dope. And, you know, my mind was just, I don't know where my mind was, to be honest with you. I just saw the words, and then that was it. So, you feel me? Tattoo goes on, and I'm just like, yo, this is lit, yo. I like this shit. It fit, you know what I'm saying? It went perfectly with my vision on how I want it. So, one day, I'm taking a shower and shit, and I look at the band, and I'm like, bruh, that shit say peace, love, freedom, and knowledge. I said, shit, I got this motherfucker out of order, right? But, you know what I mean? It still holds relevance and presence as peace, love, knowledge, and freedom and shit. But, you know, for me, I can't change it, but at this point, it's like, it's a reminder to, you know, always be alert, always be vigilant. And you know what I'm saying? Accept that you're human too. You feel what I mean? Everybody makes mistakes. Even, you know, whatever the case may be. But yeah, so if you ever run into me and you happen to see the tattoo and you see the freedom and you see it out of order, don't panic. It's that way because I fucked up. But anyway, back to the context of what we're talking about. So, you know what I mean? When I started to reaffirm that shit for myself, every day I would be saying to myself, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. Every day I would write it in some way, shape, or form. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. Every day, that became a lifestyle for me, because those are things that I've always wanted. So now, each one of these principles, they have a specific meaning and a specific definition as to what I'm associating it with, right? So, and that's why I told the story of the band being out of order, because I'm gonna give these in order. But so when it comes to the peace, right? Whenever I say peace, a lot of people get that confused because they say, well, sometimes you still promote violence. Sometimes you do things that aren't peaceful. No, I do things that aren't passive. See, I don't define peaceful as pacifism. I don't define peaceful as pacification. I don't define peaceful as any other P word that can make you feel like you are not in a position to protect and defend yourself. Okay? So I define peace. I always have, and I will always continue to define peace as the control, not the absence of chaos. See, peace comes out of chaos, right? But it's because peace is controlling it. Peace is the control of chaos. You know what I mean? It's not the absence of it. And I think a lot of times that's where people get messed up in their storms in their life. They say, I just want peace, and wonder why shit gets worse. Shit gets worse because peace is not something you receive. See, peace is something you create. You dig what I'm saying? You create peace because peace is the control of chaos. So we look at, oh, my life is falling apart. Well, put it back together. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, something that I've learned about the universe is that when you understand something a certain way and you say it to a certain person, you can give it to them how you understand it, whether they understand it that way or not. You dig what I mean? So whenever I say peace to people, I'm speaking on peace from the perspective of control your chaos. Be in the power and be in the space to always be in control of your chaos. You dig what I'm saying? So when I tell people I am peaceful, a lot of times people think that, I don't have problems in my life. Nothing goes wrong. I make shit look easy. I make shit look good. And it's all, no, I have a lot of problems in my life. But I still have peace. You know why? Because I control the problems. I control the chaos as it enters my space. Chaos will never get the best of me. You feel what I'm saying? And I hope that chaos will never get the best of you either. But I don't allow chaos to beat me because I can control it. Once I understood what peace was and I defined peace for myself, that's what I seek. I seek peace. If I cannot control the chaos, I gotta go. I gotta leave that situation. You dig what I'm saying? That gives me that power to say, yo, peace. Control the chaos. Be in control of your chaos. You feel what I'm saying? Be in control of your chaos. I've had a relation. Well, I guess you could say it was a relation. We didn't cross the line, but we were just like in the talking phase. We got real close and everything. And she would always say, yo, sometimes you're too hard on yourself. It's not that I'm too hard on myself. I'm trying to make peace with myself. And the more I do in life, the more things I achieve, the more things I learn, the more things I accomplish, the more things I try to build, chaos comes. It's just natural because chaos is disorder. So you have to look at that too. Chaos is disorder. So in essence, the bigger picture of it all is when I define peace is bringing the control to the disorder in your life. That's peace. That is peace. It doesn't just fall into your lap. It's not just given to you because you say, oh, I just need a minute of peace. And when you ask that shit, and this is how you get in tune, quote unquote, a lot of people say, okay, when you get woke, you get in tune with the universe. And, and I personally feel like a lot of those people just be talking, because it's a different experience when you actually know what it's doing. You feel what I'm saying? And you can start to see how powerful your words are and what they reverberate with and for you. Every single time I asked for peace, my life got worse. Every single time I asked for peace, my life got chaotic. And I didn't get it. I'm like, I'm not asking for chaos. I'm asking for peace. And then that's when I realized that peace comes because I have to control the chaos. You dig what I'm saying? And then when I started to control the chaos with it, I was like, oh, I have the power to stop this shit. I have the power to prevent this shit from ruling me and controlling me. I have the power to be peaceful. Damn. And then I started to apply that. You feel what I'm saying? I started to apply that. And that was the first foundation of the first foundation of my pillars, peace. Because none of my shit works. Nothing in life works for me if I don't have peace. I don't have peace. And I never wanted to be understood that this shit is just peaches and cream, daffodils and roses. Fuck no. Fuck no. This shit is not like this. I have my falls. I have my triumphs. I have my failures. I have all of these things. But they don't beat me. They won't beat me. I have peace because when this shit starts to get crazy, I've learned ways and to say, how do I control this chaos right now? You feel me? I got into meditation. I got into yoga, working out, different things like that to control the chaos. But at the end of the day, the real core to it all and what really got it was facing the core root or whatever it was that was disrupting my space. You feel what I'm saying? A lot of times it was some shit that I was doing. You feel me? Shit that I was doing right or some shit that I wasn't doing. Shit that I wasn't doing right or shit that just, it flowed a certain way. And, I had to tweak it. So when shit gets out of line in my life, I'm not going to say I recognize it immediately. Sometimes I got to experience the chaos first to know I'm in the shit. You feel what I'm saying? I'm like, oh shit, wait, this is falling. Wait, let's look at what the fuck is going on. And then that's when I put peace into it. I control the chaos. I keep the chaos in control, and I know what I'm about to say next is going to appear contradictory, but it's not because it ain't about what you walk away from. It's what you walk away with. All right. So in the Bible, right, when they're talking to the storm or whatever the case may be, when they say Jesus, one of his famous quotes is peace be still. Right. And he's talking to a storm when he says that shit. And that's what that represents. He controlled the chaos of the storm. Now, whether the shit really happened or not, whatever. We're talking about the context in which that represents. It wasn't just, he was saying, be peaceful and no, he said peace, be still. Like that, those 3 words was a very powerful affirmation in its own. Because first he said peace, which, okay, storm, I'm controlling your chaos right now. And then the next part after that was peace, comma, be still. He told the storm to chill the fuck out. You feel what I'm saying? And it stopped, right? And that's why I tell people when you understand your religion, you got to understand it from the 3 tiers of the mythology, the ritual, and the allegory. Because when you get to the allegory, you realize you have that power within yourself to apply that to the things in your life. When the storms hit, you can say peace, be still. You can control the chaos and tell that shit to chill the fuck out. You feel what I'm saying? So that's for the people who, I don't just be making shit up, but like, it ain't what you walk away from, it's what you walk away with. There was a principle that I was able to still apply and maintain. Peace is like that. You got to control the chaos in your life. No matter the storm, you control that shit. It don't control you. As long as it controls you, you feel powerless. And that takes away from your essence as a being. You feel what I'm saying? And I refuse to have my essence stripped away from me. So that's my foundational piece. Peace. I control the chaos in my life, and I think if we can get back into a space collectively as people where we learn to control the chaos in our lives, then, and in addition to controlling the chaos in my life, let me say this too. I also deal with the consequences that come. All right. Now, this is going to be physically, mentally, or spiritually. So if any chaos comes into my life, I am prepared, well prepared to deal with any of the consequences that come with it. You feel what I'm saying? Any of the consequences that come with it. That is a part of the peace. I control this chaos. And I'm going to continue to control the chaos even if it comes with consequences. Because I'm prepared for that. So that for me is the pillar of peace. That's why I utter that word. I utter peace all the time because we all need it in our lives. But we need to understand we don't need peace. We need to tap into the power that we have to be peaceful, which means we have the power and the capacity to control our chaos, to control the chaos in our lives. All right. So that's what peace is, the control, not the absence. All right. It's not the absence of chaos. It is the control of it. All right. So when you hear me affirm that, get into the podcast, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, I say peace first because I'm letting you know this is where we're going to control your chaos. Because I'm liable, think about it, I'm liable to say something that's going to stir your spirit. It's going to make you mad, make you feel a certain type of way, but control that shit. Control whatever my words make you think. You feel what I'm saying? Control that chaos within yourself that it's going to stir up. Because your ability to control your chaos really does set you free in this world. I'll get to that part soon, but it does set you free in this world. So, like I said, the peace and blessings was what was always popping. I ain't really fuck with the blessings. I was just or the peace and the light, but I fucked with the peace and it hit. But, peace, love, and, soul, from Soul Train, when I seen that, I was like, okay, that's dope. I like peace. I like love. You feel me? But Soul Train is already copywritten. But nah. So I use love, right? Love became my second staple. Now, granted, let me say this too, because I know I just said second. There's really no first, second, third, fourth of these. They're all one. You feel what I'm saying? It's like the four elements: air, fire, water, and earth. There's not one greater than the other. They serve their specific purpose. So, you know what I'm saying? They're more like my four elements. But, after peace is love. After peace is love. Now, when I say love, okay, because this one I really want to talk about. Because when I say love, motherfuckers assume that I'm, one, flirting with a woman. All right, cool. Because I usually say it to women because, we're in a different world where, you call a dude love is, they look at different. So, I call women love. All right. But I'm doing it from how I understand and how I internalize love within my mantra, right? Within my affirmation. So first, when I'm speaking on love, right, I am not in any way, shape, or form speaking on feelings tied to infatuation, feelings tied to admiration, feelings tied to desire or lust. In no way, shape, or form. You feel me? I don't, when I started to understand chakras, right? When I started to understand chakra for real, and I realized that love sits at the heart chakra and our feelings sit at our sacral chakra, they're different. Love can't be what we're feeling. We can't feel love. I get it. It sounds, it's paradoxical. Because we're paradoxical because we're so used to thinking that love is a feeling. What do you feel about me? I love you. No, you can't. You feel me? But this is what I've learned to understand about love as we have defined it in the world. That's why I'm there's a capital case, there's a big case L of love, and there's a lowercase L for love, right? So lowercase love is the love that everybody says, after we've been together for 3 weeks and I know your charts and you're my twin flame and all this bullshit. That's the love they feel. But that love is, and I'm going to always say this, it's just an amalgamation of infatuation, admiration, desire, and lust. If you get those 4 components together, you'll feel like you love a motherfucker. You feel what I'm saying? All intertwined at one time. And, I've spoken to women about that before, and it was like, but I want to feel desired. I want to feel admired. I didn't say you didn't, but you need to understand that's not love. That's why it can wear off. Because what happens when I no longer admire you? What happens when I no longer desire you? What happens when I'm no longer infatuated with you? And what happens after I hit it and I no longer lust for you? The love is gone. You feel me? But it shouldn't be, because we've been convinced that love is supposed to be eternal. It's supposed to last forever. God is love, this, that, and the third. So where's the disconnect? Because I knew from my own perspective, like growing up, the love that I was always like, when I would get to a point where women would case in point, the first time this really happened, I was able to notice it, but never really formulated into words, was I was in undergrad. And this was before I got into a relationship. I still had this little do I still got it phase before I hop in. You dig me? And this woman came on to me. Now, mind you, this is some savage shit, and I don't condone it anymore, but I did this because of the situation. I tried to get her number when I was 12. She turned me down. You feel me? Now she came on to me. I'm like, I tried to get at you when we was like 12 and shit. And granted, I'm like 18 at this point. I'm like, I tried to get at you when I was 12 and you turned me down. I don't remember that, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, we was at this little skating ring. And she was like, oh, I know everybody you talking about. I know you know everybody I'm talking about. Motherfucker, how do you not remember this thing? Because you played me. So I was in my, very, very toxic state. So I was like, oh, you played me the first time. Now I'm gonna fuck you and leave you alone. And it's like, when I met this person, now granted, it was it was only like a week of time. And so we go out to the movies and shit, because I was in college and I think she was probably like 12th grade. So, I decided, all right, I'm gonna come back to the city or whatnot. So I go back to the city, and I talk to her and everything. And it's like, we only been talking for a week. And then it's like, we sitting in the movies and everything. And she's like, yo, I think I love you. I was like, what? You don't know me. And she was like, I'm telling you. She said, you can't tell me my feelings because I fall fast. I said, nah, that's not love. She said, it is love. I said, I said, well, what's my favorite color? And this is when it got real crazy for me, because I was like, what's my favorite color? She said, you're right. I don't know. What is your favorite color? I said, you tell me. You love me, motherfucker. Like, tell me. And then, I asked her, like, what's my favorite food? And then it really dawned on me at this point. I said, well, what's my last name? And she was like, damn, I don't know your last name. I know you don't. How the fuck do you love me then? And so as I got older, I started to see that's all it was. Infatuation, admiration, desire, and lust. When I look at how the situations in which women, quote unquote, fell for me fast, it was always the same thing. It was always the same situation. They liked that I was intelligent. They liked that I was different. You feel me? They, it was and then as I got, quote unquote, woke, it became more apparent, because it was always the drop knowledge king and do this, then the third. And the reason why it can never get to my head, because I already had that attention. I knew I was intelligent. I didn't just get here because I got woke. Like, I knew I was already the things that caused them to, quote unquote, love me like that. Because then I started to see it was, after you admire me, and you desire what I am, you feel what I'm saying? And you tie infatuation to that, whether that be physical infatuation, mental or spiritual infatuation, and then you lust for me. Now, a lot of people think lust is just sex. Nah, lust is the overbearing desire. Lust is the over wanting of something. You feel me? It doesn't necessarily have to be sex, but when you tie those 4 components together, you'll feel like you love a motherfucker. You feel what I'm saying? And I'll be like, whoa, you're moving too fast. Slow down. Like, no, I've never felt like this. I know, but no funny shit. I make women feel like that. Like, because I'm different. I'm an anomaly. I'm outside of the norm of what they're used to. So when they come into me, I have enough decency to say, I know what phase you're in right now, and this is not going to work. It's not going to work because you have to let that shit die down first before you're really sure that you're there, right? So in understanding that as what the world has adopted as love, I had to understand the chakras above that, because I'm like, oh, these are feelings. And that is sacral chakra. Love sits at heart chakra. That's 2 chakras above. You feel me? And you could break down the different degrees of each chakra, the consciousness that sits within each one. It's like, yo, love sits well above feelings. You feel what I'm saying? Well above feelings. And that's why we don't feel love. Love is a power. It is a power. And with love being a power, it's not always good. And that's was the defining moment for me, because I look at how people think, if you love me, you wouldn't do bad shit, or you wouldn't. No, who the fuck said that? No, love is a power. Love is not a feeling. See, when it's the feeling of love, everything I do for you is to enhance those 4 things: your admiration, your desire, your infatuation, and your lust. You feel what I'm saying? When I quote unquote want you to love me, you feel what I'm saying? I'm a fuck you good. You feel me? I'm always smell good and dress nice and work out and stay in shape. You feel what I'm saying? To keep the other 3 things important, I'm gonna achieve different goals. I'm gonna keep pushing myself to be the greatest person I could be, so you can always see and look at me with esteem and shit and regard. But what happens when I no longer want to do those things? Like when I don't want to work out anymore. Did I let myself go? Your infatuation dies at that point. Your infatuation and possibly lust. You feel what I'm saying? The days when you know, motherfucker come quick, the lust is gone. Or, you feel what I'm saying? Motherfucker stay dry. Like, the lust is gone at that point. It's no longer there. You feel what I'm saying? The desire for the person is like, once you have a taste of them, it's like, do I really want that flavor? You feel me? That has to be continually sustained. And that's what we have defined as love now. So that's what we have operated under love within the world right now, societally, you know. But love is a power. You know, love is a power. That's why you always hear me say, with love comes correction. With love comes correction. And when I got into this point of self-love, when I started to explore it for real, I tried initially self-love from the societal standard. You feel what I'm saying? And this is what was fucking me up in the beginning, because, you know, how I just described it for myself as, you know, infatuation, admiration, desire, and lust, right? Imagine if that's what we understand is love to people, what are we going to try to do for ourselves? That's how narcissism slowly develops within you, because I have to be infatuated with myself. I have to admire myself. I have to desire myself, and I have to lust for myself. You feel what I'm saying? When you, and that is what we think. If that's what we externalize is the love for people, you know, then if we internalize it as self-love, we're just going to try to do that. So then we start to get arrogant. We start to get big-headed. We start to get conceited within ourselves. You feel what I'm saying? And that's not cool, because we just reaffirm an aspect within ourselves, and we like, you know, anybody who's not good for me, anybody who brings out the bad in me, you feel what I'm saying? Cut them off. Positive vibes only. All of this doofy shit. It's like, you know, it's not real love. You feel what I'm saying? So you avoid the conflict. You avoid the people that's going to bring you to yourself. You feel what I'm saying? So that's a hater. That person is not this. And the hater really, now granted, there is such thing like the haters are the motherfuckers that, speaking of haters, I have 5 stars across the board on all my books. Some goofy motherfucker decides to go to Amazon and put 1 star on So Frail just because. I'm like, yo, you hate motherfucker. Like, yo, that's some bullshit. But anyway, that was my quick vent. But when you operate from love, from that dynamic, just admiration, infatuation, desire, and lust, you put those things into perspective and you put that on yourself. You'll never challenge yourself, because then you call somebody a hater when they show you the other side of that. When they're not infatuated with you, when they don't admire you, when they don't desire you, when they don't lust for you, and you bring that to perspective. You feel what I'm saying? You like, oh, they just a hater. You know, they critiquing me. They could, like, duh, that's what the fuck is supposed to happen. So it's like, Why do we only want to stay in that vein? Because our perception of love is fucked up. So when we internalize that as self-love, it's only going to keep us in a one lane facet that doesn't allow us to grow. So in understanding love for real, I was like, yo, one of the quintessential pieces to what real love is, love as the power, is with love comes correction. So I always would say, like, if I really love this person, the bullshit that they dealing with, they going through, they need to touch that up. And I'm fortunate enough to have some solid friends who really love me. And when I say solid friends, if I am off my shit, they will call me out. They don't love me from that yes crew shit. You know what I'm saying? They be like, yo, bro, what the fuck is going on with you? Get your shit together, bro. Like, why are you playing with this shit? Like, you got this, that, and the third. Like, tighten this up. Like, that's love. If you can't take correction, you do not love like that. You do not love that person, and you are not able to receive love if you cannot take correction, because love is a power for betterment. You feel what I'm saying? Love is the power that betters the world, that betters society, that makes, how do you get better without being corrected? You feel what I'm saying? So like I said, we live in a society that has created love to be an illusion, a facade, and it put the word love on it. You know, that's why I'm so big on defining shit, you know. But once I understood that love was a power, I was like, yo, let me love myself. Because it went from just hyping myself up to saying, yo, I'm this grandiose being, I feel good about, no. That's why people don't get my confidence. You feel what I'm saying? I was talking to family members. I said, I'm one of the most modest people you'll ever meet. And they looked at me like, yeah, right. I said, because you're gauging it by your standard. I said, I love myself. I love myself so much that I'm willing to correct myself when I'm off. And that is something that a lot of people can't do. And I'm willing to correct myself, not just physically, not just mentally, but spiritually too. And that comes with a whole different dynamic, because what that does is you have to be comfortable enough to correct the bullshit that you may have heard all your life. You feel what I'm saying? Not just sit in it and find people that make it feel good for you. That was the differentiating factor with me. To love myself meant that I had to correct the things that were there within me that did not make me a better person. All of them. It wasn't just about, you feel me? When it comes to loving myself, people would just be thinking, oh, you just know. When I love myself, if I see something that's fucked up, I change it. You feel what I'm saying? I was speaking on a podcast episode. I don't remember which one it was, but I was talking about how people would say, well, you might do, you did some asshole shit. There was a time, I ain't give a fuck. I was like, yo, that's what it was. They were like, yo, you're mean. I used to hear this from women when I was in high school all the time. They were like, yo, you're mean. I'm not mean, I'm me. Either get with it or get lost. You feel me? That was me, quote unquote, loving myself from admiration, infatuation, desire, and lust. You feel me? But when I started to really love myself, I corrected that shit. I'm like, yo, am I really, like, did I really have to say that to you in that derogatory way? No. You feel me? And so the self-love that I have developed, it came from healing myself. You feel what I'm saying? Like, when I tell people, like, So Frail is a byproduct of my healing. You feel me? From that, like, I realized that my masculinity was a problem. Like, masculinity as a collective was a fucking problem. You feel me? Granted, did I know that it was going to go the way that it was going to go? Mm-mm. To be honest, I just wrote the book just because, like I say, I get tired of repeating myself. When people ask me questions, I only want to give it one time, because I can't give you the same energy this every time. But you're a different person, so you're going to want the energy I gave it to the first person with. So I said, why not write a book? Leave this shit alone, right? But I had to correct what I always thought masculinity was. You feel what I'm saying? And it was just my observational piece. I'm like, yo, masculinity ain't what the fuck we thought it was. My peak in understanding that shit was like, bruh, at this point, the only thing that I can do is, increase the amount of bodies I have sex with at one time. That's the only other thing that masculinity is going to give me to achieve in life. You feel me? That's why I had to break it down the way that I did. But that came from the love that I had for myself, the love that I was slowly developing with myself, because I started to understand love as a power. And I understood love as a power. And I said, yo, if I'm going to love anybody, if I'm going to love anybody, they're going to get better. And that's when I started to realize the separation. Because the first girlfriend, and this is why it broke my heart so bad, because I loved her from the power and didn't know it at the time. She loved me from the feeling. You feel what I'm saying? So when I could no longer be she no longer felt like I desired her. She no longer felt like she missed the fact that I was giving her the power. You feel me? I went celibate for the first time for a year with her because she told me, well, I'm sinning against God because I'm not married. I said, all right, well, we'll go celibate. She said, you're not gonna be tempted by it. No, because for me, I knew at that age that love was deeper than what she thought it was. So I'm like, I'm not tempted. I don't have to be tempted because this is, the power is different. You dig what I'm saying? And then ironically, that's when I started to realize that we had loved each other differently. She loved me from the feeling that I gave her. And, I seen this post get transmuted and switched up so many different times, but it was my original thought. I said, then you realize that they didn't love you. They loved that you loved them. So when you loving from the power and you're giving somebody the feeling, and when you're loving from the power for somebody who can only resonate from the feeling, they're going to get addicted to you. You dig what I'm saying? They're going to get addicted to you. So that showed me, like, in that relationship, she almost flunked out of college because she wasn't paying attention to her grades, and a lot of shit happened with her life. You feel me? But when I came in, I loved her. When I say I loved her, I made her better. Like, that's when I realized that with love comes correction, because the things that were damaging her, I helped change them. So much so that she almost flunked out. She went from almost flunking out of college to graduating a semester early with honors. You feel what I'm saying? That's what love does to you. That's what love does to you. So when learning self-love, I was like, yo, if I took that and did that with her, why don't I do it to myself? Don't just hype myself up. Don't just make myself seem bigger than what I am to appease my ego. No, really correct myself where I'm wrong. Really strengthen those foundational pieces within myself and really change. And that's when I went into the archives and I went and I found that self-love. I found that self-love for real. And I knew that within myself, this is what love is. Now, so when I tell women, I don't have to fall in love with you. I love you from the gate. From this point, I have to rise in love with you. It changed my perspective in that, because I no longer fall in love. I can't fall in love. I'm not descending. The fuck? I'm rising up. So knowing that, and that's how I'm able to rise in love, because I understand now that love is a power. And with love comes correction. Therefore, love is to lead to betterment. There's only up from betterment. Correct? Should be. So therefore, I have to rise in love. So you get a standard from me. Up front, I love you. Up front, I love you. Now, how deep I love you and how much more I'm going to love you depends on how long we stay together or how long our interaction is. But you automatically start from the jump as me loving you. Like I tell women, you don't have to earn my love. Now, this is also me speaking on it from love being the power that creates betterment. Not from the infatuation, admiration, desire, and lust. Nah. And that's when I learned to understand, like, when I got into a serious relationship, the girl at the time, the woman at the time was like, yo, how can you not cheat all of these beautiful women that you're involved? I was like, because that, I'm knowing now that level of love I was above it. But now I understand where I was with it. You feel what I'm saying? So that's the love aspect for me. So when I utter the words love with that's what I'm affirming. Because with love comes correction. So I'm affirming love is the power for betterment. Love is the power for betterment. You feel what I'm saying? So when you hear me say love, I want you to be better. When I tell people I love them, my goal is to if you're in my life, my goal is to push you for betterment. It ain't to keep you stagnant where you are. Fuck no. If I see you off your shit, cool. I'm gonna tighten that shit. And if you get to a point where, oh, it's too hard. It's too much pressure. You're putting too much on me. I got to let you go. You know, I had a woman who I had to scale back the way that I like, and I love from the power. So it comes off very powerful. And now I see why. You feel what I'm saying? I get people say, I love hard. I love deep. No, a lot of times those people that say that shit, they operate from infatuation, admiration, desire, and lust. And they get geeked up in the motherfucking relationship. That's not love. Because are you making this person better? You feel me? Are you applying the necessary pressure in their life to turn them into a diamond? You feel what I mean? And so when I get that, I started to put some people don't want to be loved. Because if love, as I just said, again, these are all how I define them, in which I apply peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. So if love is connected to the power of betterment, and people don't want to be loved, they don't want to get better. That's just how I look at it. Because with love comes correction. If every time, now I'm not saying critiquing everything like that, because I can correct you without demeaning you. I do it all the time to people. You feel what I'm saying? And I find a way to communicate. Oh, well, let's, look at this from this perspective. And you know what I'm saying? And they be like, oh shit. You feel what I'm saying? I get that. And so that's why I am in the space that I am. You feel what I'm saying? Because I operate from love. I give love to people as the power for betterment. You feel me? And I also know how to receive love in the same way. But I had to give that love to myself first, in which me being corrected. So like my first heartbreak, after that, it took me, I got like the actual situation happened in 2011. I wasn't able to date again until 2016. Like date. And I knew I didn't want to be on a rebound shit, like ignore it. Like I had to fix myself. So I had to start loving myself again. But in loving myself, I had to correct myself. That was the hard part. That was the hard part. But now that I got that shit, I know how to love myself now. Because it comes with correction. It comes with the power of bettering myself. You feel what I'm saying? That is how I looked at self-love. So when I say freedom, when I say love, that's what it is. Like, that's what I'm referring to. The power of love. The power for betterment. And with love comes correction. So you should be in a position where you're correcting somebody, not changing them, correcting them for the better version of themselves. Anybody who has entered my space would say, yo, you have sparked something in me. You have made me a better person, everything. I made them the better version of them, not the version I wanted them to be. I just tapped into their potential, their essence, and drew out what was in them and let them multiply and be comfortable enough doing it. That's how you love with correction. You don't change a person. You feel what I'm saying? And that's how you love yourself. You see the parts of yourself that are you. You can't change them, but you can correct them. You can correct them. You can see the things that make you off. You can see the things that throw you one way to the side. You can't eliminate that aspect of yourself, but you can correct it to make you better, to use it as a function of yourself, a better version of yourself, and you have the choice and the power to do that. That's what love is, the power for the betterment to correct yourself. All right. Look. The markets are not a difficult place to understand. All right. You just have to know what you're looking at. And there's 5 things that you need to see before you can make any market entry. First, you need a pocket so you can know which direction the market is going in. Second, you need a pullback so you can get the better price. Third, you need a battlefield so you can see when that market movement is slowing down. Fourth, you need the upper hand so you can see when the market reactivates. And last, you need a final push so you can see the exact moment when it's time to go with the direction you are already moving in. Okay? Of course, there's so much more that has to go into that, and it's not as cut and dry as that. But those are things that I teach in my Mastering the Market course. So if you would like to learn more, please visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today. Although it is directed and specialized for Forex, all of the skills, I crafted them to be transferable to any market that you're looking at. So again, visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today if you are truly looking to master the market. Oh yeah, and don't forget, while I still got you, you can use promo code QUARANTINE to save over 90% off of the enrollment of the full price of the course. That is QUARANTINE, QUARNTEEN. You feel what I'm saying? So once I was able to obtain love that way, once I was able to get myself in a space to have love in that capacity, self-love, that's when the knowledge came. That's when the real knowledge came. And when I utter the word knowledge, people assume like I'm just talking about being smart. Like I'm a very knowing person. And it's not because I read books. It's not because I have, whatever the case may be. I just like, knowledge for me is different. And again, I'm gonna have to break that down too, why I affirm knowledge for what it is, But to the gist of it, after peace, the control of chaos. After love, the power for betterment. For me, comes knowledge. And from that knowledge, like how I look at knowledge is this, right? Knowledge is obtaining of information to apply it to expand your reality. That's what knowledge is for me. You feel what I'm saying? Now, there's a fine line between knowledge and belief. And I discussed that in the most recent podcast. I'm sure I did in that one. But there's a fine line between it. But see, for me, knowledge is power, as they say. But it's not just knowledge that's power. It's the application of knowledge being power. But in addition to that, that person who has the ability to apply the knowledge better than you can have power over you. I'm going to say that one more time. For one, if we're going to just stick with the vein of knowledge being power, that person, then he or she who has more knowledge than you has more power than you, right? But if we move it forward through the application, he or she who can apply the knowledge better than you has the capacity to have power over you. And I vowed in my life to never let anybody have the capacity to apply the knowledge over me, because then they can have the power over me. They can exert the power over me. And this was something that I paid attention to like my first semester in med school. And my family, they're the ones who kind of put this into perspective for me. I was bullshitting with what I said. I know I was bullshitting with what I said, but I just said something randomly. I be doing shit like that because I be playing. And I forgot what it was that I said. I was like, yeah, that's not good for you because that'll do this, that, and the third. And I was really just playing when I said it. Now, I do have shit that I talk about on that regard. And my family was like, are you serious? I was like, nah, I'm playing, bro. They instantly believed me. Because I had knowledge they didn't have. And then they didn't even know if I had applied the knowledge correctly anyway. But because I had the knowledge they didn't have, I had the power over them. And what I spoke, they instantly believed me. So when I tell people that there's 4 tiers to the mind: belief, knowledge, wisdom, then understanding, they think that I'm bullshitting with it. No, the person who has the knowledge will make you believe whatever the fuck they want you to believe. You feel what I'm saying? And if you cannot punch through the wall of cognitive dissonance to get to knowledge, the person who has the knowledge literally has the power over you. And that person who has the application of it is going to fuck your mind up. They're going to fuck your mind up. And for me, when it came to the understanding of knowledge, as I said, is the obtaining of information to gain the power necessary to function in life. However, you have to apply this power. And that was my biggest point of knowledge being affirmed in this pillar, because he or she who has more knowledge than you has more power. And he or she who has the higher capacity to apply this knowledge has power over you. You feel me? I never want to be powerless in this world. I never want to feel powerless in this world. You feel what I mean? Because as Huey Newton said, Power is the ability to define phenomena and make it act in a desired manner. Power is the ability to define phenomena and make it act in a desired manner. So now let's tie this shit into reality. And you wonder why people with knowledge can make people believe whatever they want to do and do whatever they want to do. You feel me? So I vow myself to never be a believer again. I vowed to myself to never be someone who just believes shit. I have to understand it. And knowledge applied becomes wisdom. Wisdom, experience becomes understanding. You feel me? So knowledge is my foundational piece, not belief. I don't believe in anything anymore. I don't believe anything anymore because once I got the knowledge behind certain beliefs and certain things, I was like, your belief is just supposed to lead you to the point. You punch through the wall of cognitive dissonance to truly obtain the knowledge behind it. You feel what I'm saying? Because if you do not have the knowledge behind it, you will be like somebody could literally tell you some bullshit right in your face and it just goes over your head. You cannot see the bullshit. You feel me? I'm only using this because this is one of the quintessential pieces of belief, right? I was watching somebody had Bible study online or whatnot, right? And the person literally said this, right? And this is why it's good to have the knowledge and not just the belief, because a lot of times we reaffirm belief and we're thinking that we're obtaining knowledge and we're not. We're reaffirming the belief, making the belief stronger. Knowledge is different. It's a step above that because knowledge is objective and it's punching through that wall of cognitive dissonance because once you get through that, if some shit doesn't make sense to you, you got to accept that, yo, this is just wrong. You don't force yourself to make it right. That's belief. You feel what I mean? So this person is having this conversation about when Adam and Eve were created, right? And it's like, this person is literally telling them, I'm like, I get it. I think they were like a rabbi or some shit like that. But as they're telling them, they're supposedly teaching and breaking it down. And they're like, well, Adam and Eve were created with good and bad in them from the beginning, which is ultimately why they ate of the fruit, right? But here's the problem with that. There's no way they could have been created that way if we're going to call the tree that they ate from the tree of good and evil. So that was a mind fuck. If they were already good and evil, they already had it in them. That's what made them eat of the tree. What was the purpose of the tree? You dig what I'm saying? What was the purpose of the tree? Because if we're going to say that the tree is for good and evil, and once they ate it, that's when they became good and evil, then they weren't created good and evil. But if they were created good and evil first, then they were inevitably going to eat of the tree anyway. So this tree has no reference. That means that they were already created in the image and didn't know it. They were already created good and bad and just didn't accept it. You dig what I'm saying? So it's like they didn't become sinners when they bit the apple or the fruit, whatever. You feel me? But then it goes back into that because it's like, if that's the case, and they were already born with decision making of good and bad, and then they ate of the tree of, good and evil, and then that's when they started to see, what they ate of was the tree of knowledge. You feel me? So that was very, very, that initial point was very, very important to me in that regard, because it's like, I'm listening to this person watch this, and I'm like, did you catch that? Catch what? What do you mean catch what? Like, did you catch the fact that they were already created with good and bad in them? So how did they become good and bad after they ate of the tree of good and evil? You feel what I'm saying? Like, and then sometimes they get it's like, I don't get what you're saying. So it's like, when people are having their belief reaffirmed, they can't see an objective side. They can't see a side that can necessarily refute what they're talking about. You feel what I mean? So for me, it's always been understanding the knowledge piece to it. You feel me? Because now this person, because I guess they were rabbi, because this person literally believed that, yo, you can't be wrong. This person can't be wrong. I'm like, yo, this person literally is not making sense to you right now. He's telling you that they were already good and bad before they ate of the tree of good and bad. How? Well, that's what led them to eat of it. So it's like it's a conundrum, because if that is the reason they became good and bad, because they ate of the fruit, right? Then what the fuck were they prior to that? Because if you know what I mean, it's a paradox. Like, it's really, and when you see something like that, that's why you just have to believe in it. But see, that's why I vowed to never believe in anything again, because you run so many mind fucks on people. Now, I just used that extreme because that was a recent situation that I actually just observed not too long ago, where I'm listening to the person just like, and they're taking notes, and I'm like, yo, did you not hear that? Like, how does that make sense? But when I ask that question, it's like, yo, you're trying to challenge my belief. No, I'm not trying to challenge your belief. I'm trying to get the logic behind this. I'm trying to understand and get the knowledge behind how this makes sense to you. You dig what I'm saying? Like, how does this make sense to you? So that knowledge affirmation for myself is to no longer believe in anything. You know, and people look at it as a bad thing. Like, I don't know why, but everybody assumes that I'm a Satanist now. Like, the fuck? Like, all my family members, yo, you worship the devil. Have you sold your soul to the devil? The fuck kind of shit is that? Like, yo, where did y'all get? Because you said you don't believe in anything. I don't. Everything that I fuck with, I either know it, I have wisdom with it, or I understand it. I don't believe in shit because I don't have to. Belief is not like, no. Belief is supposed to get you to the point to punch through the wall. I say, y'all can't punch through the wall. And that's why y'all get emotional and y'all get delusional with a lot of the things that you say. And even if you know this point makes sense, you still cannot logically or from a knowledge perspective say, you're right. You would justify why the knowledge doesn't work. You feel what I'm saying? It's like if I tell you 2 + 2 = 4. No. I'm going to say, no. Yeah. If I say 2 + 2 = 4, and the first time you learned math, you did 2 + 2 =, let's say first time you did math, I use a perfect example because this happened to me when I was in elementary school in the first grade. This girl, when we was learning mathematics, right? We was learning the doubles, I guess you call them, like 9 + 9, 8 + 8 and shit like that. So 9 + 9 is 18. 8 + 8 is 16, right? So I don't know how, but she learned that 8 + 8 was 18. No. She's learned that 8 + 8 was 19 because 9 + 9 was 18. And I said, that's not right. Because when you add the two pieces together, and that had stuck with her for so long. So when I remember telling her, I was in first grade, I think. Yeah. So I remember telling her, hey, 8 + 8 is actually 16. No, it's not. It's 19. No, you're right. If you put this 8 with this 8 together and you count them, you got 16. What? She was like, no, 8 + 8 is 19 because, and this is the logic, because 9 + 9 is 18. What? That, I get that you did I don't know what you did, but that is how belief works. Once you got it and it's in there, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, it's stuck there. And I used to be caught up in that. Like, you feel me? I was caught up in that heavy. And I can't deny that. You feel me? That's why I always tell people, you know, especially woke people, never tell somebody to give up their belief system. Technically, if you're still in one, especially if you're still in one. But like, if you never tell them to give up their belief system, one, without giving them the knowledge about that belief system. I made the conscious choice to walk away from it because I knew it. At that point, I realized, this serves me no good. You feel what I'm saying? This serves me no good. And that was just the reality for me. And then I started to apply that to every aspect of life. And I think in being able to challenge the religion for myself, because that's your spirituality is like, that's your quintessential piece of yourself. Once I was able to challenge my spirituality, my mind was able to be freer. For me. I don't want y'all to say, oh, give it up, because I'm never that person. Because, like I said, when you get to that, when you start off belief and you go through the wall of cognitive dissonance and you get to knowledge, then you go wisdom and understanding. Understanding gets you to a point where life is simple. Once you start to get to a point of understanding, life is either you accept it or you reject it. That's it. Like, there's no, like, it's like, all I'm accept it or reject it. That's it. I'm going to do it or I'm not. Like it becomes a duality. There's no confusion, no misconceptions. Like you just, yay or nay, that comes with understanding, but that comes with the foundational piece of knowledge. You feel what I'm saying? And knowledge has to be applied, So like I said, breaking out of belief was like, I was angry with that because it's like everybody, like you people had applied the knowledge over me because I didn't know it. I didn't have that knowledge. Then once I attained the knowledge beyond what the people, and I was like, oh, you can't play with me with that. Not anymore. You feel me? Because it was one thing like when I saw how I got back into the religion first, you feel me? When I got back into it, I was like, yo, I don't know the Bible. I don't know. I haven't read it. I didn't know anything about it. So it was like I was used to people just telling me bullshit. I was used to people telling me, yeah, because this, that, and the third, it's in here, it's in here. It's cool to quote the shit. It's cool to believe in the quote. But then when you start to read it and you break it down and you start to understand it for real and you're like, oh. I started to see people not have people with beliefs not have the power that they thought that they had because I started to reach their level. And I'm like, yo, you said you can do this. I'm still a work in progress. This still in the third. And I'm like, cool. I got you. We're going to rock with that. But then that comes into the point of, once you truly know it, it's like, and then I started to know it better than the people who would always tell me, yo, you just got to know it for yourself. Okay. So then I started being able to quote it. But that was a part of the belief, like just being able to regurgitate the verses and shit. But then something happened and I was able to understand them and I knew what the verses meant. And I was shocked to know that. And I was like, yo, something's happening to me. And then from there, it just opened up my eyes and nothing in this world, period, like whether that be math, science, anything, I stopped believing in the shit. I stopped trying to memorize shit. I just started to know it. But now it goes back into understanding masculinity too. You feel me? That shit went hand in hand for me once I started to understand and cover masculinity and know what masculinity was. I was like, oh. Then I understood the importance of religion and how it keeps shit tied down. And if you read Soulfare 1 and 2, you know what I'm talking about. But we're sticking to the theme of this mantra. Peace, love, knowledge, freedom. And so that's how the knowledge part came into it. Because I made a vow to myself that I will never believe anything again. I will never believe anything again. I will never allow the people that I love in my space to believe anything without, like, you feel me? You have to get the and see, that's where it gets frustrating because the belief is tied to emotion. Knowledge isn't. So knowledge be like, yo, fuck your feelings. You feel me? Fuck your feelings. Like, when I talk to my family who still think that this is a phase for me, when I talk to them, they're like, well, you just don't understand it. And their belief is so ingrained in it that they can't even see the degrees of separation. Every time we have a conversation, I lead the conversation and I quote more verses and more passages and more stories and stuff from that book than they can. And they're like, and the delusion is so real. And I love them to life because they are family. But the delusion is so real that one of my aunts said she's going to start a church and she wants me to teach in it. Auntie, did you not hear anything that I said? I do not fuck with this. Why would I come? I said, all right. I said, yo, you let me in your church, you'll never have a church. I promise you. Because I'm not going to teach it to keep people in there. I'm going to teach it so people can understand it for real. I'm going to take them from the mythology through the ritual to the allegory. And then let them make the choice. You feel what I'm saying? That's what I'm going to do. So that's what the knowledge reaffirms for me, because when I understood how poisonous belief was to me, it pissed me off. It angered me. You feel me? Initially. But then I developed the point that like, your belief is necessary. Believing is necessary. But it's not all there is. Belief is supposed to get you to a certain position to where you can dive into something and obtain the knowledge from it. But we just continually reaffirm the belief. We reaffirm the belief and just say, hey, I'm going to interact with this person. Like when I tell people, yeah, I used to have conversations with atheists. I had conversations with certain people because I wasn't afraid to do that. I reached a point where my true spirit, not the stuff that they tried to be teaching you with spirituality all along. Like my true spirit said, yo, you can take that. And then I started to have a conversation. I'm like, yo, bro, you kind of make sense, bro. Like, I ain't even like, I'm not even gonna try to justify how this doesn't make sense, because I'm like, yo, that's logical and it makes sense. I used to get it when you're in a belief system, when you're in a state of belief, you want your belief to be right. And that's the issue, you know? So for me, it's about, I elevated to that to get into the knowledge and to reaffirm the knowledge. And so when the knowledge came in, that's what it was. You feel me? Have the knowledge of everything you explore. And knowledge is power, but the power is in the application. And always remember that anyone who has more knowledge or can apply more knowledge than you has power over you. You feel me? Has power over you. No human being can have power over me. I refuse. Because as Huey Newton said, power is the ability to define phenomena and make it act in a desired manner. You feel me? Nobody should be able to define the phenomena of my life and make me act in a desired way. Nobody. And that comes because I need to have the knowledge. I need to have the ability to apply this. You feel me? I need to have the capacity. So that's my affirmation. When I say knowledge, that's where I'm coming from with that. I will never believe in anything again. You feel me? I allow belief to get me to the point where I can start obtaining knowledge, but I never believe in anything again. I don't just dismiss something because it's like, that makes my whole narrative wrong. Because if it does make my whole narrative wrong, then that could potentially make my entire life a clusterfuck. And that could be something that's binding me. So that's something that I've learned to accept within myself. You know, knowledge. And not just knowledge of, yo, I saw Kemet do this, that, and the third, and I got some memes. Nah, like, the way in which I study is different. Like, if you actually sat and had a session with me, it'll fuck you up on how I'm getting this information. It will really fuck you up on how I'm getting this information. Because a lot of people, you know, where are you getting these books from? I want to read the books. Everybody keeps asking me what books I'm reading because they want to know what I know. They want to be, you're never going to get on my level. And I mean this in the most modest way. This is coming from a place of self-love. You'll never get on my level because the shit that I see in a book, it opens up something totally different in my mind. When I meditate and I go into the space that I'm supposed to be in spiritually, when I go there, it gives me a different insight. A whole different insight that you don't have because you're not me. You feel me? I've given every book that I had to people and told them, hey, read this if you want to. Where do I start for this? Everybody's asking me that question. Where do I start for this spiritual thing? Where do I start for this? I give them the book. This is some heavy material. How do you understand it? How do you get it? Because I'm not trying to believe it. I'm trying to know it. And there's another piece to it that I'm able to do that I don't know if you're able to do or not yet. You feel what I'm saying? I can meditate and get divine answers from shit, you know? And this is not me trying to, you know, be funny or be extra woke, but this is the reality. I do this and nobody can argue with it. They can say that, oh, he's just flexing, but the proof is in my reality. You feel me? The proof is in my reality. The way I'm able to see certain things and break certain things down, it's in my reality. You feel me? And I don't have to be in a position where I'm seeing it from such a high perspective and giving it to you that way. I'm able to see it from the high perspective, say, let me make it easier and give it back to you. You feel me? Like if you ever read my book, Hitting It Raw, like I took med school science, med school information, high advanced levels of science and information and put that shit in 100 pages. Shit that the motherfuckers with the doctors and the MDs and all that shit, they got writing thick ass books and shit. I did it in a 100-page ebook. I was able to do that. You feel me? So it's like I can give you all of the information and you can get the details and you get the information that I have, but the ability to use the knowledge is different. So it really doesn't make a difference. But that is an affirmation that I put over myself when I come to knowledge, you know? I don't want anyone, period, to have any power over me. You can have more knowledge than me. You can be smart, but you will never be able to apply that knowledge or over me. You feel me? Because I'm going to eventually learn it to separate myself from you, so I can live free and detached, And then that leads to the final pillar of freedom, freedom. We live in, when I look at freedom, freedom for me is a mental, a physical, and a spiritual thing. Like, I personally feel we weren't put in this world to be bound. You dig me? We weren't put in this world to be controlled. We weren't put in this world to be manipulated. We're put in this world to be abundant, to be fruitful and multiply. Now, this fruit is not just, babies. Nah, fruitful and multiply your thoughts. Fruitful and multiply your spirit. Fruitful and multiply your essence. Like, all of that shit, it goes hand in hand. It's supposed to be there for you to abundantly grow. You dig what I'm saying? And for me, how I look at freedom is the ability to be your 100% authentic self anywhere you are. But see, that comes with knowing yourself. That comes with loving yourself. That comes with bringing peace to your chaos of yourself. And then you reach a point where you're able to be free in all of that. A lot of us are in a cage. A lot of us are in a cage because we're not free, because we're bound by what someone has to do for us. Not what's necessarily what someone has to do for us, but what someone wants us to be in this world. You dig what I'm saying? And you have to get to a point where you start to understand certain things. You have to reach a point of understanding and experience with your life and with yourself to where you know what it is to be free. You feel what I'm saying? You know what it is to be free, because free it can become a state of mind, and it's also a state of spirit. There's times we don't really talk about states of spirits. The state of spirit. Like, we talk about the state of mind. What's your state of mind? What's your mindset? What's your spirit set? What's the state of your spirit? Is it free? Because it's hard to really be that. Like, I have friends who would say, yo, sometimes I just want to dye my hair, but I can't. I'd be like, why not? Well, because, I got to work and this, that, and the third and everything cool like that. And I'm not knocking that. Like, that's different. And now, this is now going to come into, like, the freedom of, why I became an entrepreneur. Like, people think it's financial freedom. It's cool. That's good. That's in many regards the purpose, because you need money to be able to function. But for me, it was spiritual freedom. Spiritual freedom. I needed to be in a point to know what the fuck my spirit really needed. Because the only time I ever really understood the freedom of my spirit was when I was a kid. And then I went to school, and then I started to be molded and shit into what people, like, my soul was never free. Because everybody told me what my soul was supposed to be. They never gave me a choice to expand my soul the way it's supposed to be expanded in this world. You feel me? And I get it. I don't knock the parenting. I don't knock the familial structures. I don't knock anything of that nature, because it served its purpose. You feel what I'm saying? Like, when I was 6 years old, I got baptized. I didn't want to. I didn't even know shit. I didn't even know what the fuck baptism was. I just know I was getting dipped in some water. 7 years old, I got quote unquote filled with the Holy Ghost. How the fuck? Like, I didn't get any of that shit, but it was just like, I get why my mom did it. You feel what I'm saying? Because her mom did it. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, when you get a certain age, I want you to be covered in the blood or whatever the case may be. And it's like, your spirit, like, that starts the tone to our souls have no freedom. So when I add the freedom part, I speak on the freedom of your soul. The freedom of your soul to be who you are. Who you are, not just what you are, but to be who you are, when you are, where you are, how you are. That's the freedom of the soul. A lot of us can't really be that. A lot of us can't really be that. Like, so when you look at the way that I speak, if you look at my social media from time to time, if you look at wherever it is, it's just like, I'm this way. This is just me. Like, that's why I evolved it to Just Sing, because it's like, I wanted my soul to be free, bro. Sis, I wanted that shit to be free. And I wanted to be able to say what I wanted to do or not do without the consequences of having to feel the obligation of, oh, I got to tone this down. Like, you feel me? People, you know, I've had a dude ask me, he was like, no, he didn't ask me. He kind of just told me, he said, you don't talk like you right. You know, I mentioned this before. I said, I don't have to. The fuck? Like, I don't have to come off as, you know what I mean? I'm like, you feel like I have to be that way because you've been conditioned within a bound soul that you can't be free as yourself. Because in addition to this freedom, I'm good with dealing with the consequences that come with my freedom. You feel me? I know everybody ain't gonna like this. I know if I say something about a religion, somebody's gonna get mad. Okay? I know if I say something about some shit I don't agree with, somebody's gonna get mad. My next few podcast episodes, motherfuckers are gonna be mad. But I have the freedom to do so without the worry of the consequence and the backlash that comes with it. I don't care. I don't care. Like, my soul is really free. And that's what freedom is to me. You feel me? I worked towards the financial freedom for that reason, you know, because in addition to me being free, I wanted to create kids that are free. I can't do that if I'm caught up in a rat race. And I started to think, like, is it really freedom when, you know, how free are we when we work 40 years to have 11 years of retirement? That's a fucked up trade. You feel me? I even put it on a smaller scale. We work 5 days to have 2 days. 5 days out of the week to have 2 days out of the week for fun. That's a fucked up trade. You dig what I'm saying? I felt like that was never any freedom. That's not freedom to me. You know, my soul isn't free. To know that this is one of the biggest mind fucks. And this is one of the reasons why I kind of had to give up religion. Like, it's like, to know that I had the freedom, like, to know that I have free will, but I'm not free from consequence. I don't have free will. Like, I get when we talk about it in the reality for life. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, you have free will, you know, but like, I've been told this, you have free will to do God's will or insert deity's will. Then that's not my will. Like, you have the free will to do their will. It's like, but if you don't do, all right, you have the free will to do their will, but if you don't do their will, you will be punished. That's not free. Like, the operative word in all of that is free. Free. There should be no consequence with free. There shouldn't be. You know what I mean? That started fucking with me because I'm like, I don't have any freedom. But see, then I learned that freedom it's different. And this is, you know, like I said, it ain't about what you walk away from. It's what you walk away with. And that shit actually does make sense. You have the free will to do the deity's will, but there's consequences if you don't do the deity's will, right? Whatever the case may be. But freedom, and this is the only reason why I'm using this context. Freedom is the ability to accept what consequences come. That's freedom. That's freedom. I don't do the shit that I do with hopes that nothing bad will happen to me. I don't do the shit that I do with the hopes that good shit's gonna happen to me. I do the shit because it's what I felt like doing. You feel what I'm saying? However it manifests in the world, good, bad, or ugly, I'll deal with the consequences of that. But if I feel like I need to do something, if I feel like my soul feels like I'm free to do it, that's what freedom is for me. But my freedom comes from my ability. All right, hear me well. My freedom comes from my ability to accept the consequences that come to me, to accept the responsibility and accountability for consequences that will come for the shit that I do. That's freedom. So when I bid people freedom, when I say the freedom part, understand that that's what I mean. Do what you want to do in life. Do what you do in life, understanding that consequences are not escapable. You feel me? But be accountable and responsible for those consequences. You feel what I'm saying? Be accountable for and responsible for those consequences. Fully. You feel me? Don't try to backpedal out of the shit like, hey, yeah, I did the shit. Fuck it. You know, I live by a principle, right? I was just talking to a homie the other day about this. It's either, for me in life, it's either what ifs or oh wells. I don't have many what ifs anymore because I changed that perspective and wanted my soul to be free. Everything is an oh well at this point because I'm able to deal with the consequences and be accountable and responsible for the shit that comes with it. It's like, oh well, either I learned or something happened, but I've learned how to transition things into an oh well by being free. And by operating from the freedom, my soul, like I don't fear the consequence of what can happen to my soul. I don't think there is a consequence that can happen to my soul for me doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You feel what I'm saying? And I had to come to terms with that. Like, the freedom of my soul was directly tied to the beliefs that I had. But then when I started to gain the knowledge of myself, the knowledge of the things that I became freer. I became freer to the point where I'm able to do what I want to do without having to worry about people's backlash or people's, well, you think that's a good idea? Hell yes. Yeah, I think it's a perfect idea. Why? I don't, that the freedom within myself has taught me to ask people this question. Whenever they ask me, why do you do this? I say, why not? I don't get into the back and forth arguing with the shit. I just had a homie tell me, they were like, bro, how are you so calm when people be, cause I ain't about to argue over no stupid shit. Like, that's how you feel. It don't move me if you feel against what I'm talking about. It don't move me when you feel like, cause my soul is free. I'm like, I felt like doing that shit. You feel what I'm saying? I think we collect, like, yo, I can only speak on the collective, but I can't do shit for the collective, bro. I put the shit that, like, my freedom says, look, this is what you do. You put the shit out there for the people to come and get it, lead a horse to water. Lead a horse to water. I'll put the water in front of you, put the bucket there. It's up to you to drink the motherfucker. I can't do shit else outside of that. The freedom of myself taught me to respect the freedom of people. You dig what I'm saying? The freedom of a person's soul. Like, be that shit, And in my freedom, I want people to be able to be as free as they want to be. For some people, that's scary. Some people can't fuck with me no more after they find out how free I really am. How I talk the shit that I talk and shit like that. And how do you comfortably do it? It's like, I don't be bashing or being like, this is how I felt like saying something. Okay? This is how it comes out. You dig what I'm saying? Well, this is how I felt like operating a particular position in my life. You feel what I'm saying? But when I do such, it changes people's perspective. And there's people who have come into my space who want to be free too. People don't even get that. Like, and this is pretty much going to be the quintessential piece to show why people have found me. When you're ready to try to be free in your life, you meet me. When you want your soul to finally be free, you'll meet me. And motherfuckers don't even know that that's why they met me. Incidentally, it's more women than men. I know why, but it's more women than men, and they don't even know why they're in my space. But they know that once they get, like, after time, we become good friends and shit afterwards, and it's just like, yo, they've changed. I was like, yo, I've allowed you a space for your soul to be free. And for you to feel comfortable with that. And it's like, I do it so much, not only do I give them that space for their soul to be free, that I continue to operate from the free soul. That's the freedom that I have. And you got, like, yo, shout out to my circle, bro. Like all my homies in my circle, bro, like, we all free souls. And we all had that capacity to freely be, And I remember when I first, decided to break out, Before I even told my family, I told my homies, I said, I can't fuck with religion anymore. You feel me? I had to test because I'm like, yo, I hope I don't lose my friends, bro. I hope I don't lose my friends. Like, it was a group text and everything. And I'm just like keeping it real. I'm like, yo, this shit is fake, man. It's bullshit. I was in that first initial phase, where trying to get over the denial, then the anger happens and shit. And I never forget it. They told me so. They were like, so what? This means you can't fuck with us or something? I was like, nah, I was just making sure y'all gonna still fuck with me. And it was like, why the fuck wouldn't we? That shit ain't got nothing to do with us. And at that moment, I realized what it is to have to be a free soul. No matter what you believe, no matter what you feel, no matter what you hold on to have that free soul, for your soul to be free to live as it is. Those inner workings that are within you, those inner voices that come out and say, hey, go do this. Their intuition, I help people. Like, I live my life, so I want people to have that. Like, when your intuition calls, answer that shit. Like, the fuck? Don't not trust your gut. If your gut say, hey, do this shit, do this shit. If it say stop, stop. Don't be like, I just got to, no. You know, I've helped people in real time. I've helped people strengthen their intuition. And a lot of people be thinking intuition is just a female thing. Let me rephrase that, because that did not come out right. They be thinking intuition is a woman thing or a feminine thing, and it's not. Men and women have intuition, just like men and women have intelligence. And I hate getting into that argument with people, because when I say that, that's a whole different podcast. I'm not going down that route. I have books on that shit. Anyway, the freedom aspect is like, yo, I just want people to be. You know, every like, when people enter my space, they start off one way, like, yo, I want to be. Like, no, don't try to be what I am. Just try to be you. And if what I am is what you're supposed to elevate to, you'll get there. But don't try to be that shit from the jump. You know, like I said, because I meet the people who are, you know, let me read the books that you read. I want to get as woke as, like, there is no competition for wokeness, bro. The true person, the true experience of woke and being self-aware is to become a free soul. And whatever comes with that, comes with that. You feel what I'm saying? But you're doing it because you want to. Your soul tells you to. That's freedom. That's freedom. Not because some music told you. Not because a politician told you. Not because your parent told you. Not because anybody told you. But because your soul says, this is right for me. And in doing what my soul feels is right for me right now, is going to segue into me transitioning into a better person, a better version of myself. But I have to listen to that freedom. I have to listen to what my soul is saying do, with the mindset that I have to be accountable and responsible for the consequences that come with it. Your soul is going to tell you. The thing about it is, your soul is always going to tell you what's right, whether you have a right or wrong outcome. No, let me rephrase that. Your soul is always going to tell you what's right to do, whether you have a good or bad outcome out of it. It's what you do with your outcome that will determine in the long run that was a right decision to make. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and how you get through that. How you get through that when you're dealing with the consequences. And you're not pointing the fingers and shit. You're able to deal with that and grow. That is the freedom, you know? And the freedom is going to lead you to some shit that sometimes can end up bad for you. It's going to lead you to the shit that sometimes that can end up good for you. This is where they get those, you know, those mantras of, oh, this is a blessing in disguise. Is it really a blessing in disguise? Nah, it's a circumstance that occurred that you made the best out of because your soul led you to something, and now you're choosing how to see it. Am I going to see it as good? Am I going to see it as bad? You feel me? That's the freedom. The freedom is for your soul to live and experience itself the way it's supposed to. You feel me? No societal structures, no societal conditionings. Do whatever you feel like you need to do. No politically correctness. Like, I'm far from politically correct. I don't give a fuck about being politically correct. I got to be honest to my motherfucking self. I got to be honest to my motherfucking self. You feel what I'm saying? So if I say some shit that conflicts, I don't care. You feel me? I hate in this, and that's what, it's not that I don't care about how that person felt. You feel me? But I know where I was coming from with that space. It has nothing to do with me how you felt after that. That shows that the freedoms of our souls are different. You feel me? I don't do shit with malicious intent. Like, I can make a, like, when people do the quote unquote announcement like they're important, I have to unfollow you now. I didn't need a story. I didn't need any kind of, you feel me? You didn't have to tell me that. Just go, motherfucker. I'm not going to beg you. No, please don't go. I don't even know you motherfuckers. And you know what I'm saying? I think a lot of time we forget that about social media. We really don't know these motherfuckers. We don't. Like, you feel what I'm saying? But that is a part of the freedom. The freedom of your soul to actually be. You feel what I'm saying? Now, granted, when I look at the freedom that I actually accepted, my life shifted a lot. I went from trying to be a doctor med school and all of the shit. I was in there. You feel me? I was in the motherfucker. Like, you feel me? But my freedom, my soul, the freedom of my soul said, I can't do this anymore. It's like to accept that was hard because it's like everybody's be a doctor, be this, be this. You know how hard it is now? Like, it's crazy as hell. My mental capacity is nowhere near what it is now. Like when I was in med school, like it's nowhere near. Like the way that I think and process shit now is totally different. However, people think that I knew more then in med school than I know now. Weird shit. When I was literally in med school, I can tell people some bullshit and they'll believe it. Now I can break down shit that I couldn't even break down like that in med school. I can tell them shit and then say, I got to go research that because I don't have I'm not even mad at that. That's not, but the thing that I'm making is like, my soul is so free now that it's like, I don't let that bother me anymore. I used to be like, yo, here I go dropping all of this shit and y'all don't want to listen. And I don't do it for that shit. I post and go. I talk the shit that I talk and I go because it's the freedom of my soul. This is what my soul wants to do. My soul wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be in a position where I could stay in nature and be like, but I knew that there was consequences that would come from just me trying to do that shit. So I had to absolve myself for those consequences. I had to set my realm up for that. So I knew, okay, maybe I write a book. Maybe I write 2 books, maybe 3. Maybe I create some classes online. Maybe I do some shit that I don't even have to be hands-on with anymore. But how do I do that shit? I went into the archives and I started working towards putting it into position. You feel what I'm saying? So then I can start, okay, bam, there's still more that I got to do. I got to learn marketing. I got to learn how to run advertisements on autopilot. I said, I don't want to do this shit. I don't want to do this shit, like, at all. You feel me? So when I get in the autopilot and I can just step away, like, that's it. That was the purpose of all of this. It wasn't to brag and boast and be the Don Dada and no shit like that. It's like, no, I wanted freedom. I wanted my soul to be free. And it feels good as fuck to say that it is. And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes Merch and get your merchandise right now. All right, this one is kind of long, This is this, series. It's not the finale. What's the one where it ain't the series finale? It's the series beginning, some shit like that. They say on TV. I don't know. It's the first one. So it's the first one of season 4. But yeah, when it comes to that affirmation, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, when I say that shit, that's what I mean. Whether it be a blessing, whether it be a salutation, whether it be a greeting, whatever it is, an affirmation, however I speak it to you, that's what I'm affirming for your life. That's what I'm saying to you. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. Right? I'm breaking that. Like, that's the energy I'm sending to you. People be like, I'm sending you love and light. Fucking Care Bears and shit. You feel me? But nah. I love y'all. But I do peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. And when my intent is sending that through the universe, it's based off of how I define those 4 principles for people. And it's like, it's crazy because I think it'll really multiply now that people know what I mean by it. But I be watching people that, I say it to and then they come to me, yo, saying like, I'm learning this, I'm this and this, this came to me. You feel what I'm saying? How did that happen? I'm like, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. Like they think I'm just, trying to dismiss them or some shit. Nah, bro, like this is what I have affirmed for you. This is what I affirm for myself daily. And this is what I have affirmed for you. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. Peace. The control of chaos. You feel me? The control, not the absence of chaos. You dig what I'm saying? What I say, love is the power for betterment. You feel what I'm saying? And the ability to correct yourself. Love is the power for betterment and the ability to correct. You feel me? Knowledge is the application of information. You feel me? It's the application of information to create power for self. You feel what I'm saying? And freedom is the ability to allow your soul the space to be what it needs to be. That's what I mean by peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. That's why I post. That's why I am called. That's why I am just seen. Like, I want all four of these components in there. Everything you see about myself, there's a science to what I'm saying. The peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, this is where it comes from. I am just seen, because I don't want people to get to this point where they see me as some kind of mythological creature. I ain't no fucking unicorn. I ain't no fucking unicorn. Like, this is like, everybody can do this. But see, everybody's afraid to do it, because when you see people that are supposedly doing it, they live a certain way. They act a certain way. Oh, I gotta be like this. I gotta be like that. Like, people have those, oh, I'm spiritual, but don't forget when I used to. No, never forget. Shit, Ray Ray's like September 11th out this motherfucker, bro. You never forget. Like, he's still here. Like, you don't suppress. Like, people miss that part. Like, they think like, once you reach a certain level, you put certain things down. No, you just enhance what's there. You feel me? That side of me is still here. And it's not like, no, don't get it twisted. It's not like the motherfucker's suppressed or I'm hiding it or just lying dormant. No, it's active and well. It just has no reason to show, because motherfuckers know how to act. Motherfuckers know how to be in my space. They know how to act in a certain way that it doesn't show. But it's never turned the fuck off. You feel what I'm saying? It's never turned the fuck off. Like, I've learned that you don't need to, oh, I need to be my higher self, lower self. Nah, it's the same motherfucker. It's the same motherfucker. You got to think about what duality is. Duality is basically opposite sides of the same coin. Ain't no different. You feel me? One isn't greater than the other. One isn't less than the other. You feel what I'm saying? And peace, love, knowledge, and freedom is my affirmation to people to be you. Be you, 100%. That's why I tell women when I meet them, I only need you to be you in a relationship. And that's where, and it gets deeper, because it's like, what is yourself? Not the love aspect of yourself from affirmation, infatuation, admiration, desire, and lust. The love from the part where you're willing to correct yourself. Do you really love yourself from that aspect? That's why I affirm it. That's why when I'm talking to women, I call them love. It ties back in. Like, when I'm hey, yo, peace, love. Like, that's why I call women love. You feel me? From the perspective of, love, the power for betterment. You feel me? And you had the ability to correct. You feel me? I come from that energy when I call a woman love. You feel what I'm saying? It be happening, like, they be thinking I'm flirting and shit, and they still don't get it. Like, they be like, yo, my time with you, every time I call them love and shit, I notice that my time with them, they get stronger and stronger as people. And they don't, oh, it's just your nah, it's the affirmations I'm putting into you because of the intentions that I have with the words that I speak on you. I know how to play with these motherfucking words, and that's why I use them according to how I want people to operate. That's it. When I say peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, when you read those captions, when you hear these episodes, when you hear all of that shit, every time you hear peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, this is what the fuck I'm talking about. This is what I want for everybody. You feel me? Some people can't take this kind of energy, but I affirm it in a way that it's for your level of life. Never do I say, yo, meet me here or meet me there. Or dude, like, no, don't. You be the best version that you need to be of yourself. That's all I require from people to be in my space and be comfortable. Be you. Be you, because we have to understand whether or not being you is fruitful for either of us. You feel me? We have to understand that shit. So that's I feel like I should have had this conversation a long time ago. This shot probably should have been one of the openers. I've been affirming this shit since 2014. Well, 15, because 2014, I was really trying to fine tune it. That's when I was going from peace and light, love and light, peace and blessings, peace, love and blessings. And then it hit peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I've said that shit for so long that I have it now. I have it. And it's a beautiful thing to have. Like, and I just want to share the shit with people. You feel me? You can develop your own mantras. You can develop your own. Those are my 4 pillars, and that's why I do it. And with every podcast episode, I start and end with peace, love, knowledge, and freedom after I give you, quote unquote, the profane profundity. That's why I do that shit. So the message is that whatever it is that you're supposed to get, it's going to hit one of those 4 points. You feel me? It's going to hit one of those 4 points. Whenever I put my captions out on social media, I end with peace, love, knowledge, and freedom because it's going to hit one of them 4 points. Either it's going to put some peace in your life because it's going to give you something that's going to control the chaos. You feel me? Either it's going to put some love in your life because it's going to give you a betterment through correction. Either it's going to put some knowledge in your life because it's going to give you some applied knowledge that you can apply. It's going to put some freedom in your life. It's going to allow you to see something that you can be free with. That's it. That's it. I want everybody on this world and this face of the earth to be free being themselves. Be their 100% absolute self. The way that I do. You feel me? And be comfortable with that shit without having to feel like I can only, like, I fuck with everybody. Contrary to all the shit that I taught, I fuck with everybody. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like, where does that come from? That comes from those 4 points that I build my life on. I built my soul, I built myself on those 4 pillars. Peace, those are my 4 elements of life. My fire, my air, my water, and my earth. That's what those are. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. You know? So this was long and this was lengthy, but that's what I want y'all to get out of that. When you hear me say peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, when you see me write peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, this is where I'm coming from with that. It's not just, you know, it's a reason behind what I say. Everything that I do has a purpose behind it. At the end of my books, I write peace, love, knowledge, and freedom for this reason. You feel me? Everything is there. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. If you used to watch my YouTube videos, when they fade out, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. My website, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. Everything is peace, love, knowledge, and freedom with me. Because that's what I built myself on. And that's how I became the alchemist and the creator that I am. You feel me? This episode was, you know, kind of solely about me. But it was more so about, you know, what I chose to put into the air and into the world. You dig what I'm saying? The peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. And if you ever had the chance to, like, be around me in a space where I'm in, like, all of these things move in motion at the same time. Like, I move all 4 of these at the same time. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I've learned to intertwine them and infuse them all at the same time. Because they go together. For me, they work. You feel what I'm saying? Changes thought processes, changes realities. And they're not like on a manipulative shit or anything like that. But every time I speak, that's one of the gifts that I have. I have the gift of oration. Like, when I speak, shit happens. Shit changes. Reality happens. But those are the powerful pieces that keep all of this shit moving. You feel me? So when people ask how I do what I do, this is it. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. You feel me? There's understanding of peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, how I have internalized it within myself, and how I infuse it with everything I do. When I teach trading, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. When I teach plant-based transitioning, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. When I teach about masculinity, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. You dig what I mean? Everything, that's me. That's what I stand on. So this will probably be one of the most intimate episodes I think I've had, where it's just like, yo, I'm letting you into a certain aspect of my life, a certain aspect of my reality, not just my life, but my reality. This is how I do the shit that I do. I affirm this shit every single day, every moment of my life. Hell, y'all, most of y'all follow me on social media. Like, every caption ends with peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I keep that in my head. I keep that in my mind. I keep that everywhere I go. That's branded on me because That's what it means for me. That's what it means for me. It's not just the undercurrent to sound good as an ending. Nah, this is the affirmation. This is the salutation. This is a greeting. This is a bidding. Like, I give this to people. Like, I speak this to people too. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. As always, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_scene_. Visit my website at iamjustscene.com. Much love and appreciation to everyone who sponsors, tips, and donates. If you would like to continue to sponsor, tip, and donate, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of your podcast. Cash App, PayPal is just fine. Yeah. And as always, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. But as always, go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And as always, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.